Hello, 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 ladies, gentlemen, others. How are you guys doing? You doing good? Good, because it really does mean a lot to me. I love you guys, and I appreciate you for clicking on this video. Today, guys, I've got some more PTS stuff for you. Surprise, surprise. It's kind of mind-boggling, isn't it? Today, my fellas, I would like to talk to you about Dragonites, more specifically, Stamina Dragonites. With the hybridization changes as well as a couple of changes directly focused on DKs, the Stamina DK has seen some pretty massive buffs, and it can now utilize a few skills that were previously only good on the Mag DK, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. But before we do though, just a quick reminder that if you enjoy the content or if you learn something or anything like that, it would mean the world to me if you drop a like and maybe consider subbing to the channel if you are not already for more stuff like this in the near future. We just hit 8k subs today, and every single one of you guys that subs automatically gets written into my last will and testament and is entered into a chance to win a free hug. So let's go ahead and take a look at these changes. Just like my Stamden video from yesterday, we're going to break down the changes into both offensive and defensive categories, and we're going to start with the defensive just like last time, because there's a few things here that I think are very, very important and are worth mentioning. So let's just go ahead and hop right on in. First and foremost is that with the hybridization changes, give me one moment, I'm going to slot Fragmented Shield real quick just to, just to get my Major Mending on demand here so I can show you buffed up tooltips. So with the hybridization changes, we got access on the Stamina DK to Coagulating Blood. Now, Coagulating Blood has been the Mag DK's go-to burst heal for a very, very long time now. It just recently got buffed to very ridiculous levels, and it heals for quite a fucking shit ton. And let me go ahead and just get my stats, activate my buff sets here, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Look at this thing. 15k tooltip. That is incredible. That is incredible. You can press that button one time. You do also have to remember that while you have a Draconic Power ability activated, you will take in 12% additional healing. So that thing is going to be quite girthy. Let's take a look at it real quick. Just with let's see what we get hit for. 27.5k crit, 16,600 non-crit. Incredible healing right there. And now we can use that on DK, on Stam DK. It does cost quite a bit, but honestly, you get really solid sustain for your off stat on the DK if you are, say, in heavy armor, using Orzorga's Smoke Bear Haunch, through ultimates, through potions. You can sustain it pretty well. I've tested this in duels quite a bit, and it does work pretty good. So we got that. That is the big one right there. That gives DKs, or Stam DKs, I apologize, the ability to have a spammable burst heal to stay alive. In the past, some Stam DKs were using Green Dragon Blood. I've used it before as well, and that ability was good. I want to say good, but honestly, it wasn't the best. It was hit or miss. Sometimes it would heal you for almost all of your health bar. Sometimes you would barely feel it. You would waste magicka. The buffs that it gives are nice, but other than that, sometimes it just felt like an absolute waste. Coag, though, will now be great. Green Dragon Blood will work good on tanks still, but anything that's got a good, reliable amount of spell and weapon damage is going to be able to benefit off this bad boy quite expeditiously. Let's go with that word. Now, the next two skills I want to talk about actually double dip into both offensive and defensive territory. One of those skills being, of course, the change to Burning Embers. Yes, this is the magicka morph of Venomous Claw, but this is ultimately the better version of this skill now. I'm not going to go and like fully buff up for everything here, but just the basic buffs. With just Major and Minor Brutality without my weapon damage set proc with no glyph, we're getting an almost 19k tooltip on this claw. That is big. It doesn't compare exactly to Venomous Claw, because that does have a ramping damage increase every 2 seconds, so that dot will hit a good bit harder. But what this one does here is that this gives us burning, which is nice, and it helps to increase our sustain for our magicka, our off stat. We love that. It also gives us, with the new changes to this skill specifically, used to heal you based on the amount of damage done when it wore off or was reapplied. Now this heals you for 118% of the damage done. I think that's because I had on Major Mending there. Let me just triple check. Yeah, I think that's only with Major Mending. Either way, though, it's 100% plus. most of the time. And that doesn't just include the dot. I've heard some people talking about this skill. They say that every time the dot ticks, it heals you. It's not just that. It is every single dot tick, but it is also the initial application. So watch this. Boom, we got a 5,400 heal just by slapping somebody in the face with the claw, and that is going to happen every single time. There we go. There's a 6,000. It'll go up quite exponentially, depending on how well buffed you are and whether or not you have Danger Trickery on or you've got Major Mending at the time. Either way, very nice, and it is a very strong heal over time as well. As you can see, let's just watch the healing in the side there. 2,000 tick. And again, this is not buffed. Let's go ahead and just fully buff up here with the whole thing. Let's watch those ticks. We got a 2,194. I got buffs are wearing off. Doesn't really matter. Either way, as you can see, the heal over time on this is very, very strong. 2,441. If we manage our buffs very good, and we take care of keeping our buff uptime nice and high, you are going to see this being a very, very potent heal over time. It's going to heal you for at least 1,000 a second while you are in PvP, and that is going to make you feel a lot naturally tankier, especially if you put it on more than one person. You probably won't, but you do have that ability. And yeah, it doesn't scale as high for the damage because of the lack of the ramping damage modifier, but it does still hit very, very hard. It's still a very strong dot, and that heal over time is going to do wonders for the Stam DK defensive kit. Now, another thing that I would also like to talk about, and this one I feel like is going to fly under the radar for most people, is Shattering Rocks. This is the other morph of Fossilize. I'm sure you guys all know Fossilize. We hate it. We hate everything about it. When we get it used against us, at least. When we use it, it feels amazing. But Shattering Rocks, this skill is a stun. It goes through block, it goes through dodge, and it also procs our Earth and Heart passives, so it gives us our weapon damage, our minor brutality, and it also gives us back a little bit of stamina when we use it, so that's always nice. But what this skill does, and the reason it's so good, take a look at this. Look at the heal on that. When you stun somebody, when the stun ends, they take a good bit of damage, and then you get an 11,234 heal. Now, obviously, that's fully buffed up, as well buffed up as I can get without, say, continuous attack. But depending on your build, this thing could tooltip incredibly high. That makes this a very, very good offensive and defensive ability at the same time, because this is a stun. This gets someone off of you. This lets you follow up with some damage, and it also is unblockable. You cannot counter this in any way at all. It's impossible to counter, except for with the fucking fossilized bug, but we're not going to talk about that, because that's, you know, that's irrelevant. Let's not talk about bugs. Let's talk about the way the game is supposed to work. And it heals you for a shit ton. This is a massive burst heal on top of all of our other burst heals, which we just get for stunning somebody. Very nice to have. Now, all of those defensive changes there, all of that additional healing that we have access to through Shattering Rocks if we want to use it, through Burning Embers if you're going to use it, which I definitely recommend you do. I don't think that, I think Venomous Claw is a bit outdated, especially for outnumbered PvP. Maybe if you're going to zerg people down, then sure, Venomous Claw will be really good, but Burning Embers, especially for solo, for small group, is going to be the go-to morph for this skill now. And through, of course, Coagulating Blood as a badass, amazing burst heal, that allows us to change one little thing. One little thing that I have always loved to use on DK, but have not had the ability to use on DK in quite a while. And I'm just going to go ahead and change it back to its original form here. Now, most people use Cauterize on the Stam DK, which is good. It's a fine heal. But Flames of Oblivion, guys. This skill is nuts. Now, this thing heals for 5,589 every 5 seconds. Whatever, you can cast this a few times. It doesn't cost too much. You can get a bunch of back-to-back burst heals. But it isn't really that powerful of a heal, and especially when you consider the fact that we're going to be getting a lot of incoming healing from all of our other sources now. This is kind of irrelevant. You don't need this anymore, and you can 100% pick up Flames of Oblivion. And look, not even buffed up, this thing hits 8,000 on the tooltip on this build. And this is, mind you guys, this is a pretty low weapon damage build. Like, I do not have that much in the tank. I've got 6,163 weapon damage, fully buffed. Let's go ahead and actually make sure I'm fully buffed again, just for the sake of argument here to show you the tooltip. Boom, look at that, 10,500 damage every 5 seconds. This hits 3 enemies around you. And the fun fact, this also cannot be dodged. This can't be dodged. Or at least I don't think it can. It used to not be able to. Pretty sure it still can't be dodged. So this will catch people like Nightblades and other rolly builds mid-roll sometimes and absolutely snatch their fucking chain, which is awesome. Now when you combine that with a strong offensive ability, a strong spammable, such as Power Slam, which we have access to now. I've always used Power Slam, you guys know that about me, I'm sure. But if we throw it on this build here, got a 16k tooltip. We're not building into bash damage at all, just weapon damage. We've got 16.2k on that tooltip. We've got the 10k over here when we're nice and buffed up. That is a lot of damage together. That is like 20, almost 30k damage that they are going to take at the same time if you are able to time your burst effectively. And if you know how to use Shattering Rocks, which goes through all forms of, counterplay, you can guarantee that these hit on some players that aren't able to break free fast enough or just don't have the reaction time that you need to get free and react to an attack. So you could get them with this stun, the flames procs, you bash them in the fucking face. You can do that inside of corrosive armor, and then all of this stuff is going to go through their mitigation. If you have a stack on the Power Slam, this thing will easily go up to like 20k, and it'll just absolutely fucking rip someone's shoes off of their feet and allow you to beat them in the face with them until they stop moving. And it's a very, very nice skill to be able to finally use on the Stam DK without worrying about your healing, because we have so many new options. Now, those are the main changes that I wanted to talk about with you guys, because the biggest things, at least what I take away from this, is that Coag is badass. We love Coag. I also really like Shattering Rocks. These two skills are rather expensive, and sometimes you will see your Magicka getting a little fucked, but you can definitely figure out how to sustain it. It is not too difficult. Some people may mess around with sets like Wretched Vitality. Personally, I don't think you need to. All I am doing is using 6 heavy. I have high ultimate generation to get our Battle Roar passive and utilize that pretty effectively, giving us back Magicka. And I have on Orzorgas, which is giving me a decent amount of Magicka recovery. If we just take a look, we do have 1150. We have CP that gives us some more. A lot of cool things going on there. So yeah, it's pretty easy to sustain the Magicka if you really, really try to. Now, one other thing that I would just like to talk about, because it is somewhat relevant, especially for people that are playing Mag DK, but I feel like I'll just talk about it anyway, is the nerf to the damage over time from volatile armor. This was a nerf to the Mag DKs, okay? Because this scaled off of spell damage and only spell damage, but this is actually a bit of a buff if you are playing a heavy armor Stam DK. This used to not tooltip very high, maybe 4,000 to 5,000 at most, but me, I currently have, let's see how much armor I have, 24,000. This scales off of your max armor now. This scales off of the armor on your character. So let's go ahead and get away from this guy. I forgot that I'm not actually in 6 heavy right now. I'm in 4. I'm in 4-3 because I was messing around with some numbers. But what I was planning on doing is running this in 6 heavy, like I said. And all we need to do is buff up our armor and then look at the tooltip once again. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Look at that. Now on the Stam DK, this is a 10k dot. This did not used to be a 10k dot on the Stam DK. I also have on Bloodspawn. So on Bloodspawn procs, this is going to be an even higher dot. So this is another offensive change that I didn't even think about until literally 5 seconds ago, and you guys just witnessed this. I forgot that this is going to be a benefit to us as a Stam DK. If you want to use something like, say, the Mark and Ring of Majesty to get even more armor, yes, you'll lose out on overall damage from everything else, but it will actually make your armor buffs damage even better. I don't think it'll actually outdamage it from the Malakath ring. No, it won't outdamage it, but it'll still make it good. It'll make your healing better as well. So that's up to you guys to mess around with. Personally, I don't think I'm ever going to be taking Malakath off of my DK. I just like it too much. But yeah, that's basically all that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Talk with you guys about. Talk to about you with guys. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But yeah, that's it. Those are the big changes, and I hope that you guys can take this information that I've given you with some context here. I've shown you some tooltips, talked about a few different ways to run some of this stuff. Some of these changes are great, some of them are not so great, but the DK, the Stam DK specifically, has a lot of options now. We have a better healing, we can have better offensive pressure if we want to, through fucking a million changes. Like I said, Power Slam, Flames of Oblivion, all sorts of crazy stuff going on here. It's going to be a whole lot of fun to mess with this on live. I can't wait to see how it does end up looking on the live servers. I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about some of these changes? What do you guys think is going to work? What do you guys think isn't going to work? Let me know. Let's have a conversation down in the comments. Let's chat. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, without any further ado, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop talking your ear off. I'm going to get out of here. You guys have an amazing friggin' day. Kuro out. I love you. Bye. Mwah.